Okay, Jay, I'm going to go through what you need to do to fix your stuff for your app. And I'm going to start completely fresh by cloning your app down so you can see just the entire process. That way you can see it just from the very beginning. That way you know I haven't done anything crazy that you're not seeing. So that's cloned. Open a new window. I'm going to build. Okay, so here we are with your code straight down. So it hasn't been manipulated in any way here. The emulator I have over here. And I'm going to go through how I figured out what was wrong. Because just showing you isn't going to help you in the long run. So I want to show you how I determined what was wrong and how I traced that down. So the first thing I did was we have this here, and I opened up your query utilities folder file because we knew we were dealing with that. That's what everybody seems to be pointing towards, which is fine. Go down here to where's that? Your extract news. Okay, so I'm going to open up the logcat. I'm going to start a debugger so we can get some output. And it'll take it just a minute for the emulator here to fire up. Okay, so the emulator's firing up here and it's trying to find your JSON feed. Okay, we got no news found. We have no errors. So what do we do? So the first thing we want to do is it getting a URL? So let's go up here to fetch news data. That gets hit first. This, you don't really need this in here right now because all this is doing is simulating a slow connection. So it doesn't do anything other than, hey, let's test to see if the connection is slow and what happens so we can see the spinner. And that's fine. What we're going to do here, we're going to do a log.v. And we'll put in this as the tag. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a request URL. Okay, and now we're going to run the emulator again. And what we're going to do here is we're looking to see if this is going to spit out a URL. Okay, so if we see here, we've got that blue up there, so we can see we are getting a URL into here. And so if we click it, it'll go to the web and it'll show us the JSON feed. So we know there's a URL coming in here, so where do we go next? If we know there's a URL, we know it's getting passed here. So the next thing we need to do is, are we getting a JSON response? Well, because we're getting that URL, we can assume we are, but let's double check. So now we'll clear this and we'll run it again. Okay, so down here in white, we can see the JSON response. So we are getting JSON back. So we know that even though this says no news found, we know we're getting a JSON feedback. So we can move on. So that means we can go down to extract news. We can figure out, all right, well, what's going on in extract news then? Okay, so you're checking to see if the JSON is empty and return null. That's good. So we make our list. That's good. And so now we have these here. So let's check to see if we are getting any results for this. And so what we'll do here is we'll just go right down here. We got to go under this guy. And we'll do, well, let's do this smart. We'll do title. Okay, so down here we can see title. So we know we're getting a title. Okay, so let's check the author. And again, what I'm doing here is I'm just trying to show you my train of thought on how I traced this error down. Okay, so from in there we're seeing the author, but we're only getting it twice. We should be getting it a lot more than that. So one of the things that you need to do here is, I'm just going to copy and paste some stuff. I'm not going to take time out writing. Comment out that, and we're going to do this. I'm going to replace, comment this guy out. Author, and then we're going to do author array, not tags, because you named it. Let's see if anything's different. Now, I actually didn't do this the last time, so I don't know if it's going to bring back anything different. So this is where we would set the author. What'd you name it? Get string web title. Let's see what type of output we get here. Okay, yeah, so this time we've got a bunch of stuff, and now finally we have a red error. So let's take a look at this red error, see what it's saying. So this is saying that there was an issue in the news adapter get view on line 31. Excuse me. Line 31 is find view by ID card title. So my first thought was, well, maybe this ID, maybe there's something going on with that. So if we go to your layout, is it at card title? So I know that's good. So the next thing we have to look for is, okay, so we know that's good. We know there's data coming through. We know we're getting an author. So what's going on? So the issue here is going to be in the news adapter when it's trying to set data. So what happens here is you're never actually getting to where you set the title, and I'm going to show you why. We need to get the position, right? So we're getting the current news, get position. And so I did some logs, And I'll just go copy the log statement so I don't type. We're going to do current news.get author. And let's see if the author's coming through. Okay, so the author's coming through, and then we get an error. So news adapter line 32. It's this card title again. What's going on? After we go through and we log a bunch more, we go through and we log stuff here. I'll just get to the point. Okay, now we're going to see another crash. Bang. So what's going on? It took me a few minutes to find this. What's going on here is actually the date. You're setting up your date the wrong way. So what you need to do for the date is, let me see, I have it on my screen here. This is the way the date is coming into the JSON. This down here under your format date is not the pattern that you're looking for. So you need to make this pattern match this. Because what's happening is it's searching for a pattern that it's not finding and it's spitting out null. To do that, and what did I do with my thing? Oh, this is mine. Let me move this over so we can see yours. Okay, so to do that, we need to adjust your format date method. So we need to find that pattern. This is how you find that pattern. You have to match the pattern with this. You don't have to use this locale.get default. All that does is return United States. So once you have that pattern, you have to do a try catch block. Okay, so we need to import this here. So this also needs to be a string because you're bringing over a string as the date. So I'll change these. Let's make this adapter. We don't need to return this anymore because we're returning it in here or in here. So let me walk through this. What we're doing is we're trying to get the date article. So we have to parse the date object, the string. So it has to be parsed as a date. So we set date, article date, and then what we're doing is we're turning that into a date now that we have this pattern. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to apply a new pattern to it. So we're taking that parsed date and we're changing it to match this pattern, which is what it was originally. So then we're returning that date in the format. So we're lots of parsing and formats and patterns, but we're then returning that date up here. So we find mine. So what we need to do here is we don't even need this. So under card set text, what we're going to do for set text is we're going to do format date, current news, get date. Now we're going to run it again. And as long as I did everything the right way, it should work. Hopefully I didn't forget something, because then I'll look really silly. What'd I forget? What'd I forget? What'd I forget? Let me look. Let me look. Oh, this is what I forgot. You're using convert view here. You need to be using list view. Now it'll work. Come on, work. Don't error. I did it again. 41. Oh, gotta delete this guy. Nothing ever goes as planned, right? Yeah, here we go. So now we have data. Awesome. So I'll go through real quick what I did before. Just so we know, first we'll get rid of this guy. So we changed the way we were looking for the null in the tags. You don't want to return null. That stops the program, and you'll never go through the loop. It'll cancel out. You don't need this string for author name because you have author up there as an extra. So what we did, so we changed the way we were looking for the null. That's all we needed to do in here. So then we went to the news adapter. Instead of using convert view here, we changed it to use list view. We changed the format date method to look for the specific pattern that the API returns. Then we parsed that date pattern. We applied a new pattern to it. We returned it as a formatted actual date. Then in the card text, we used that method to turn the string date that was coming in into an actual date and set the date. So I hope this helps you understand my train of thought into how I tracked down the error and how I fixed it. If it doesn't make sense, if you're still stuck, let me know and I'll help you get sorted out.